Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today is going to be part 2 of Road to Rank 1. Now it should be part 3, but I accidentally forgot to unmute myself in the previous recording, so I lost the entire video. But the long and the short of it is that I have been fighting back and forth for Rank 1 between myself, Noah5, and Anubius for the last 3 or 4 days. However, this morning, Nubius seems to have dropped some points, and then Leo came out of absolutely nowhere and has hit first by quite some amount, and no one is slowly catching up, and that means I am now 23 points behind first, rather than the normal 1 or 2 points behind Noah or Nubius. So that means that we're going to have to play several games in a row, and I figured I would record them, show you what it is like trying to hit 3k elo, basically, at this point. So, now, the deck I'm going to be using is still US Frontline. However, I have made one change to the list. I took out the 2 half-tracks in favor of 2 Devil's Brigades, just because half-track is really good against control. It's really good against ramp, where they spend their entire turn playing something big, and then you just return it to their hand for 3 credits and flood the front line, or you return it to their hand for 3 credits and hit face, whatever it is. You basically use it for a big tempo swing against decks that spend their entire turn to play one thing. However, the number of decks that spend their entire turn to play one thing after, like, turn 4 are shrinking very drastically on ladder, and the number of decks like Jagro and Frontline are increasing rapidly. And in those matchups, half-track is a lot harder to find a great use out of. It's not bad. Just getting a unit out of the front line can be really useful. Sometimes even just returning a 4-cost unit to their hand is enough of a tempo swing to help you a lot in that matchup. However, I just think Devil's Brigade is better in those matchups because it lets you take out 2 things at once. It lets you deal 1 damage, which is really, really good in a meta where there's 20 seconds getting stuck in the support line to continue drawing your opponent cards. There's Type 93s, which buff up the front line, making it impossible to value trade out. Or they just have 2 units in the front line because they're playing a deck like Tokens or Japan Soviet Aggro, where there's just a lot of 1/1 units on the board at all times, and Devil's Brigade is just going to give you a very easy 2-for-1 on turn 4, and it's a US Blitz unit, so it makes it slightly easier to Sherman. So, I switched to this card relatively recently on a meta call. I've been finding it fun. I've been finding it good. I haven't been finding it, like, insanely better than half-track to the point where I would never consider half-track again over this card, but it's been really good. So, that's the deck. Very similar to the one from the last video. But let's get into the games. We need 23 points. And yeah, hopefully we can do that in 5-ish games. And hopefully it's not going to take 30, 40, 50 games if I start to lose. So, with that, let's get into the video.
What a performance there by J King.
J King, full plot armor.
J King is pushing himself into the ranks of the legend.
J King is our world champion! J King 7! What? The back-to-back Cards world champion!
Alright, game 1, we are going second against Soviets. So, I'm considering just keeping like this, sending back the Sherman. I've been seeing a lot of tokens on ladder, and if it is tokens, and even if it's not tokens, we have a pretty good turn 1 and a turn 2. Devil's Brigade just seems like a good option to ping off a unit. I could see sending it back. We don't have a fantastic turn 3, and Devil's Brigade isn't really a good turn 3 because you're not using the Blitz, you're not going to be attacking with the Grey Hand, which almost certainly will be alive. But I also just really like strap bombing against Soviets in general. I could see sending back the Devil's Brigade, but I'm going to keep it. We have a lot of 1-drops in the deck. Skytrain's also going to be a good pickup. And you never know, it could be self-damage, could be control. Turn 1 pass. I mean, Tokens actually doesn't run a lot of 1-drops, especially non-reactive 1-drops. So yeah, it's still Tokens. Now the question is, do I want a 2-4 to the front line, or a 1-1 to the front line? I think probably the 2-4. 2 is rarely an important attack break against tokens. Like, really, it's only like motors coming down. But I was going to say that it protects the Skytrain. If he was just going to hammer it, obviously it would have been better to push the 1-1. And then he doesn't get the unit to the front line. However, I'm kind of fine with him hammering the Greyhound. Hammer's a really good card in tokens against frontline, because it can take out some of these bigger units that threaten to just absolutely spam the opponent. I would love to get the Skytrain out here, but when against tokens, you remove tokens. So we're just going to use Devil's Brigade and Trading to take it out. Deep Operations is fine, because that's only on 2 units. Another line of engagement. We're a turn off of Strat Bombing. So as long as we can try to keep him in the support line for 1 turn. Ooh. See, I would love to play Skytrain here. This is happening every time. And this is happening every time. 99th is just too good to pass up here. 3 has a very important health break against tokens, because if he just does Frontal Assault, they become 2 3s and can't really do anything. If he plays Alliance, he can trade out the board, but he's playing Alliance on 2 units and trading out 2 units. So I can live with that. So this means that it's probably going to be a single Frontal Assault. Trade unit Frontal Assault. Courson. Yeah, I can live with Courson. So his hand is 1 light infantry. His reserves are on 3. This is an interesting situation, because he wants to go for the value trade, of course, and onto Devil's Brigade. However, he also does not want to have to attack multiple units into Red Devils. So he finds another reserve for 3 more tokens. However, he had to drop an Industrial Might to do that, which means his hand is almost certainly not no surrender. I mean, we can suppress this, but then it just goes to a 5-6. At 7-6 and 5-6, there's basically no difference between at the moment. I think we'll go for the 22nd. I think if the last card in his hand was Sickle, he probably would have played it. So I'm assuming the last card in his hand is some sort of buff. Maybe the 2 cost plus 3 attack to the infantry card. Maybe in a more expensive one like Alliance. Hopefully it's not a we can do it. We can do it would be really annoying here. But if he does token, we can do it, then we would suppress the Courson and just simply kill the tokens. Okay, Baron of Vici top deck. That lets him get a 2-2 and a 3-3, I think. Double Blitzkrieg. Is this just lethal? This is just straight up lethal. Okay. Would a single Blitzkrieg have been lethal? Yeah, Hellcat Blitzkrieg would have just been lethal. Well, it's a good thing I didn't go for the suppress. I did, like, just wake up. So hopefully this is not a sign of things to come. But hey, we'll take that win. And against tokens, man, last night I needed like 2 points to take back first, and I queued up a game and it was into tokens. And I just got completely brutalized. Wasn't even close. Minus 22. So we got 4 points for that, so not a lot. And if we continue getting 4 points, it's going to take quite some time. However, a win is a win is a win. So let's queue up into the next game. All right, next game is against Germany. A Germany who just full mulliganed. And the issue with Germany is, that there is a ton of variety in terms of what they do. And even within the variety, it's still difficult to know how to mulligan against the decks. Like, even, like, short of having an exact list of what they're playing, it's very difficult to mulligan. I'm thinking of keeping PIR, just because there's very few 7 strikes going around. So if I can just get this on the board, continue buffering the attack of infantry, you keep this to trade out something annoying like a Schützen that gets to the front line. Unfortunately, we did not find any of our, I believe, 12 1-drops. Maybe 10 1-drops. Yeah, I think 10 1-drops. But we can do PIR on 2. There's been a lot of careless talks, so this might just die. Okay, it survives, which is a good sign. But that also means it might just be German-US ramp, which is normally a very good matchup. Like, I'm perfectly fine playing against German-US ramp. However, if it's German-US ramp and also I have an incredibly slow start, that's a very different story. I'm fine with this PIR buff because if it... 1, it just threatens to deal a lot of damage to him, and 2, it means that he can't Schützen into this. Ooh, German-Britain. I'm pretty fine with German-Britain. Do I just 99th this and hit him for 8? I kind of want to. This raises some very big issues for him. The question is, do I play it with Greyhound? He's probably some form of discard, so I won't. If he plays Glamour Boys, I'll probably just trade. Short of drawing a... Oh, no, he's going to play JU and just die. Okay. Well, that was an incredibly fast game for how much I thought. Like, I love how so much thought it went into those turns, and then it just ended up being, like, a control deck that didn't really have a good opener. It just rolled over and lost. +4. Let's get to the next game. Alright, next game is almost certainly a mirror match. So we'll definitely keep Red Devils, definitely keep Pathfinders. With 20 Panzer Grenadiers in the game, or in the deck now, I should say. I find keeping 5th Rangers is less important, especially going 2nd. I really want like a 164th. Devils Brigade's pretty good. 99th Infantry is going to be useless. Greyhound's fine. And the mid-range mirror, it used to be just to go first and win. And if going first is still a pretty big advantage, but now, because of 164th, it becomes such a silly situation where, like, he went first and had Greyhound and pushed Greyhound. If I had a 164th, I do 164th into Greyhound, Red Devils into Greyhound, and then I have a 2-3 Red Devils. And it's like, you know, you're just kind of up at that point. The fact that he had a 164th in addition to that is quite good for him. So he goes for the 2-2, makes it a 4-4, but he doesn't have the credits to kill Red Devils, which means that we can just suppress it. Does allow him to draw with Sherman, but this is a pretty weak turn to draw with Sherman for him. Second 99th. That's an alternative. I mean, we're just Devil's Brigade and trade. I'm not sure why he's going Elf-Face. It could be because his hand is like Greyhound 35T Blitzkrieg. And he doesn't see the way that he generates the value to stay in this game. It could also be that he's just bad at the game. So that's always a fun situation to get into in these frontline mirrors when someone just starts going face. It's like, is my opponent bad or is my opponent gonna kill me next turn? Okay, 5th Rangers, 164th push, PIR buffs Rangers, and Pathfinders retreats the 164th. It's interesting. So I could push Greyhound 3, 5, 6. Do something like this. Hopefully he doesn't find a Panzer Grenadiers. Hopefully his hand was Blitzkrieg. Okay, that's a pretty good Devil's Brigade. Skytrain in the support line. That's really annoying. Hopefully this retreats Devil's Brigade, or possibly retreats Skytrain. That's fine. Skytrain gave Devils on the first roll. That's very bad. Please land on the Devils. That's not the Devils. So we know his hand is Skytrain, and that doesn't really do anything. And he can't, like, 8/8 5th ranges into this turn. I'm not playing Greyhound, that's for sure. The question is, do I want to push Pathfinders or not? And I think the answer is no. I think there's still value to be had from Pathfinders in this situation. If he had Strategic Bombing, he would have played it several turns ago. And it's difficult to see how he easily gets through this. Like, he can kill it now, and that's really annoying. But, you know, if we find a Sherman, we can still Sherman. It retreats the Panzer Grenadiers, because it always retreats the Panzer Grenadiers. We can drop a Skytrain, like, trade out PIR, drop Skytrain, but then he can just kill it. Can kill it, push Rangers. But then I can't drop the Skytrain, so that defeats the purpose. Okay, I think this has to happen. How many credits does it cost him? If he uses the Panzer Grenadiers, it costs him 8 credits, so he can push Devils. But then there's a... Okay, I can always get something good off of Skytrain. I think we push the Pathfinders in this situation to protect the Skytrain. Like, retreating is becoming a bit of a liability, because we're in a situation where he can just farm value off the 20th Panzer Grenadiers. Like, the fact that this got retreated, I think, means the game's over. Did he double buff one tank? Okay. Well, this is a very easy turn. Okay, we got the best possible unit off of Skytrain last turn. We then got the worst possible draw in our deck, so it kind of evens out, but... Okay, if we can draw our Panzer Grenadier, that'd be really good. You know, Sherman, Panzer Grenadier, same thing. 164th is fine. Blitzkrieg is not lethal here. M10 on the Skytrain. If he just goes face here, he's kind of... Ordering matters. Did he get a second Devils? That's really annoying. Hopefully this lands on the Skytrain so I can kill the M10. I think this 50-50 decides the game. And by decides the game, I mean I'm, like, very much losing. But, I mean, it decides whether or not I can, like, theoretically make a comeback or just immediately die. Because if this card in his hand is Blitzkrieg, it's over. Top deck Sherman. The card was strap bombing, or did he top deck that? If that wasn't his hand, he just... No, he didn't quite miss lethal. Okay, well, technically not dead. Man, it just... Sherman. Yeah. And he never had the Blitzkrieg in hand, which means him going face in the early game was just trolling. But... Like, even now, if this was like a Panzer Grenadier, there's still like a chance we can come back into the game. But, you know, it's not. It's an M10. Okay, well, starting off with a loss pretty early on, and we only got 8 points from the win, and this is going to be probably a minus 20, judging on how he's playing. Like, you know, he's playing, like, the #1 constructed deck, but he's also playing it, like... Okay, only a minus 18. We will take that. I mean, we're still down 10 points from where we started, but let's get to the next game, and hopefully queue into, slightly more favorable... Well, queue with slightly more favorable hands. Alright, we have Freddy on Germany. So, I'm just gonna keep the Red Devils, keep the 164th. Keeping 1-drops is generally good. Okay, the rest of the cards don't fill out great. The M10 is... It's always fine to have one M10 in your hand. You never know when you're going to need it. He is Germany, Japan. We're going to do the Red Devil start. Against Jaguar, I sometimes toss the 164th into this to stop stuff like Rising Sun. Just slamming the Heinkel. It's interesting. So what that tells us is he has a really bad hand. Like, if he had any other 2-drop, he would have played it. Okay, top deck Honorable Death. Which means if I can draw a 1-cost, I don't. Which means we're just going to M10 this to prevent his card draw. That top deck Honorable Death was really bad for us. And top deck Southern Plan. Okay. So that's how this is going to go. I mean, it's that or keep the bomber on board and start sacrificing dudes. So, of course, we're going to do that. Now he has the Schützen, I'm going to assume. Yep, has the Schützen. Okay, let's just take the front line, develop 2 units, try to draw into useful cards. I'm not that our hand is not useful, but just at this point, as many cards in hand as possible is going to be a good thing. And top deck in Southern Plan on turn 4 going first. After top decking Honorable Death to take out a 2/4 Devils in a situation where you have nothing to do. So the worry here, this is presumably some form of German-Japan mid-range, is similar to the ones that we saw in OCC this weekend. And in those decks, there were like single copies of Burst of Fire. So the big worry right now is that he can just do Comet Face next turn into Comet Burst of Fire, and we have no healing. With Whirlwind gone, there's no way to stop the Comet. And Nakshub 35T to get the 5/5 to the front line. Sure. I think we just toss Rangers and a 164th into it. Make a 3/2. This also survives if he has Careless. This does let him get back to 8 credits, like he moves up trades, but then having a 2/1 in the front line is fine for us, because dies to Greyhound, dies to Devil's Brigade. The worry is that he has like an FW in the support line. Top deck Panzer Grenadier on 8. 8's the number of credits you need to operate, like push Panzer Grenadier and make the 4/4 hit face, and because of Nakshub, he has the credits to kill with Panzer H and then do this. Although, the fact that he's thinking implies that he's gonna do it. No? Okay. So he values having a 2/4 rather than a 4/4, and also values dealing 2 less damage to my HQ. Well, that's pretty good for us. I do like it when my opponent values making mistakes. So, let's take out the 2 biggest units. You shouldn't have too many ways of dealing 1 damage. Heinkel's the big one. We're still really behind, and if he has something like an FW, an autocannon we can deal with. An FW is probably just going to kill us. I mean, we could, like, if he just slams FW in this situation, we can deal with it. Okay, that's fine. That's less fine. Okay, what's the last card in his hand? The 2/5's, like, annoying to deal with. As a stats. Holds it. So this is 4, this is 6. We can take out 3 units. I'm gonna play this first in case it's a countermeasure. Because I have the credits to do all of this anyways. Okay, so he has a 2/5. I mean, like, hopefully, as long as... Not as long as the last card's not, like, Comet, but there's a couple other bad things that could happen in this situation, but certainly we're hoping that it's not a Comet. Type 93 is fine. I think Type 93 was the card from hand. Maybe we just didn't want to overcommit into, like, a Stars or something. Stops to think again. Okay, that's actually a pretty good draw, because that lets us do this. So, we're up on hand size, and there's a decent chance that the average value of the cards in our deck... Like, he has better scary cards, but he also has more bad cards in his deck. Okay. Well, that's really annoying. Let's clear the front line. Probably dropping a strap bomb in next turn, but this way we can strap bomb in Sherman. Maybe he trades if he draws something good. I'm hoping that he's put Comet into the bottom of his deck already in this situation. Sure. Sure, man. Why not? There's literally nothing we can do. Top deck Comet. Why not? Man. It's so dumb. I hate Comet so much. Like, why does Comet exist as a card? Congratulations, man. You played, like... You literally tried to throw this game as hard as possible, and then you top-decked Comet. Like, on the turn things were turning around. Like, I probably had him, like, with Panzer Grenadiers. Probably could have killed him in, like, 3 turns. Which means, like, he had to top-deck Comet that turn or the next turn. I mean, Freddy's relatively high up, so we didn't lose that many points, but... You know, that also would have been a nice opportunity to earn, like, 9-10 points or whatever it would have been. From playing against a player who makes mistakes. But, you know, that's the world we live in. So, let's get to the next game and keep trying to climb. Alright, we have Britain. And... Just gonna full mulligan. We need 1-drops against Britain. Britain's almost always Britain ramp. Which means they have nothing to do in the beginning of the game. Honey, we're going to push the Devil since infantry. Greyhound can always be pushed and attacked on the following turn. Devils cannot. Also, if he wants to attack into me, it costs more. Oh, that's a disgusting top deck. In situations like these, it's always worth considering going face, but not this time. So the 99th is dead. I would love 1 credit for 3 damage, but it does mess up our curve quite a bit. I mean, we could try to set up a Blitzkrieg, but if he plays... Glamour Boys, there's not a great way to trade into that. So I think we just Sherman. It's kind of awkward for him to play Glamour Boys now, because if he does, I can trade out the 3/1 Devils and Sherman to kill it. He could double down with a second supply shortage, but that's not a great option for him. MI5 Convoy. So we don't know he's ramp yet. He's drawing a lot of cards. This could be a combo deck. So the question is 3 damage worth more than tempo? Man, if I had an M10 in this Pioneer company seems pretty good right about now. But unfortunately, we don't. So based on this hand, I think Sherman's hitting face every time. And the question is, do I push 164th or do I hit face for 3? I think I'd rather hit face for 3. Getting the damage in when I can. One is this might be like a Commonwealth-esque combo deck. Or, you know, push OTK. Getting the damage in is always good in those matchups. We find the M10, but we can't M10 and kill Wellington. The other reason is because I have Blitzkrieg, and the units I push up now probably aren't going to be making it. Like, there's probably going to be at least one more round of board clears. Except damage I get in. Okay, so it's Finland. Takes the Hellcat. He does not have the credits to do Hellcat into the 164th. Finland does mean that maybe I want to... Could you stop, please? I'm gonna Sherman. Finland means that maybe I don't want to M10 the Pioneer Company, just because there could be a lot scarier options out there. I mean, this is hitting face every time. So we could play the 4-cost, make your Finnish guys 4/4s, Hellcat, hit this. Doesn't really do anything. If I play M10, that's 2, 4, 6. One of these gets +1/+1. So I actually just win the game. If he does go for the 4/4 Hellcat next turn. If my math is correct, which it is. Cool. So let's suppress this guy. This should also hopefully lower... I mean, suppress is really good, especially if he gets like a Sissioto, but this stops him from being able to do supply, monsoon supply. This stops him from being able to get out a bunch of frozen assets for cheap, White Death for cheap, etc. Okay. Oh, supply shortage. Well, that's actually pretty good. So we can do 2, 5. Maybe drop the 35T face. And I think I pushed this. Well, actually, he could frozen assets, kill Pathfinders. That's 5. Replay Pathfinders, killed 35T. No, I don't think we can afford to do it. Him salvaging it is just too good. Yeah, that's fine. That's also fine. See, that's... I think this is happening every time. And I think we just make the Take the tank, hit him in the face. Drop him to 13. We just saw one white death, so he might be getting low on suppress, and by low I mean out of it. Frozen assets. Panzer Grenadiers is a pretty big card. If he actually picked Panzer Grenadiers, he plays it for 3 and he has 5 credits left. Or 2 credits left. So he'd be 1 credit off being able to go for it here. Sincerely yours. Draw last. So this is 2, 4, 7, 8. We can even throw in the Greyhound. This is definitely lethal. All right. Well, we've turned the loss streak around, taking out a Britain-Finland control. Hopefully that's going to be worth a decent number of points. Complete a mission. It is worth 4 points. Great. We have winning tiebreakers on Nubius, which is good. But it's going to take quite a few more games, so let's get to the next one. Alright, we have US, probably another mirror. Devil's Brigade's not a terrible keep, but it is a pretty bad keep if I don't have a 1-drop. It's more important to have a 1-drop than Devil's Brigade in hand. PIR is just a pretty good card to keep. Well, we have a 1-drop. It's not a great 1-drop. Well, if he does 164th, then I'm perfectly fine trading 164ths. Him starting with a 164th means that he could mean 22nd, could be 99th. Most likely just means he doesn't have a better 1-drop. See, he has this Greyhound, but this Greyhound came from the left of his hand, meaning he top-decked it. If he does have 99th here, the trades are really awkward for me. And we're basically just falling behind immediately. Okay, well, it's not 99th. Oh, Duress. We can still get through it with 35T. It's just really annoying. However, even if he gets 5th Rangers to the front line, or 5th Infantry to the front line, just walks into a 5th Rangers. 164th here would be really good for him, because then this becomes a 4-5, which becomes far more difficult to deal with. But hopefully he just like does a Devils or a Greyhound. Well, it's Devils in a manner of speaking. Take out the 3-4. Drop the ping. It's interesting that this guy has Devil's Brigade, which is like a new special. But he also runs 5th Infantry, which is a standard. Like, presumably he has a small collection. It's just, I'm curious which cards he is missing. Maybe 99ths is what he's missing. That's not bad. Could trade. Leave him with a... or maybe trade first. Could just drop Panzergren into the Devil's Brigade. Walks into Strat Bombing, but if he plays Strat Bombing, it means he's not playing Sherman. Which I think is the far more likely outcome here. Also, if I can get him to trade into my 5th Rangers, I'm kind of happy with that. Like, he can't leave this 5th Rangers up forever. Me threatening to deal 4 damage to the front line, even for 4 credits, is just a massive threat against him. Okay, Sherman off the top. But that means the other card in his hand's probably not Sherman. That might be like a Blitzkrieg. Could just be a unit, of course, that he hasn't had the opportunity to play yet, but... this is just a really awkward position for him, because no matter what he does, he gets traded out, and I can make a tempo play with the 35T. So I could do 35, like, trade 35T, take out M10. That leaves him with a Sherman. Seems like a really bad play. So this is coming out. This is coming out, so we're taking this. Taking the front line. Now the question is, do I do 99th to draw? Or sorry, do I do 22nd to draw? Or do I do 99th on the PIR to try to make it more difficult for him to trade? We have two Shermans in hand. He's low on cards. I think we go for this. I think I'd rather... Like, the odds that he can draw with the Sherman on this turn or the following turn if I don't drop the 99th, like, the odds that he just gets value trades and starts getting more use out of all of his units is much higher. He also doesn't have an infantry for 35T right now, which makes it a little awkward for him to use. Ooh, the Sherman trade does happen. And he's left with 4 credits, but he can't, like, push Rangers or something, because it just walks into my 4-1 suppressed Rangers. We're probably just going to double push 164th to lock out the front line. Yep. And this game is as good as over. And, see, this is a game where we started second. This is sort of like a learning opportunity. We did start second, and, you know, he had a 1-drop, but this is the situation where the curse of going first is you get the you get the initiative. However, you also get the less cards, and the less cards means less options, and options means that you're going to be able to control the trades. And oh, that's just a filthy top deck. So this is going face. Obviously, he can Sherman if we play 99th, so, or the 22nd, so I'm going to push my own Sherman. This will just allow him to, like, Hellcat it or something. Maybe drop a 5th Rangers into it. He's just going to surrender, likely because his hand is Blitzkriegs and possibly Shermans, and he knows that the end is near. So that is another 4 points. Okay. Just, man, playing against meta decks who give me 4 points, or playing against high-ranked players, arguably playing worse than the the +4s. So 40 points down. A ways to go. 10 games at this rate. But, you know, that's what it takes to get rank 1 on ladder. A lot of perseverance. So let's get to the next game. All right. We have another player, another US, and another time going second. Have I gone first yet in this video? I'm pretty sure I've gone second in every single game. Which, you know, is fun. Okay, I'm going second. I will not complain about this hand, though. This is a this is a very strong hand. Skytrain's less important going second here, but PIR, Devil's PIR, amazing. Devil's Brigade is going to be a good card to help come back and just chip off some of his annoying little guys. Panzer Grenadiers is going to be able to give me value later in the game. Hopefully this buffs the Devils. Although, I don't actually hate this, because if he double trades into my Devils, I can then kill his Devils with my PIR. Which sort of means he can't go for that line. Sudden Strike. Now, because I have to play this, I can't. Now, this is kind of annoying. Could just trade and hit. You know, we're both left with a 2-2 Devils. It's not an amazing play, but it limits the effectiveness of, like, something like a 99th. And, you know, he could just Sherman here, but if he Shermans, we probably just play Panzer Grenadiers. Don't even bother killing the Devils. This is one of the few situations where Shermaning on 4 in the frontline mirror can work out for you. There it is. I think we go for it. There's also just the possibility of not playing around Stars and Stripes because nobody plays it, and going something like Skytrain Devils. Just force him to have an answer for Skytrain. Like, he can M10 it, but then he's, you know, playing M10. That's... Wait, why would you... Why would you do that? Did he forget? Oh, I think he forgot about the credits and wanted to push Sherman. But I just... Okay. Interesting choice. And yeah, I love Frontline, and I love Frontline mirrors. Like, obviously I don't love when it's just a completely unwinnable mess. But I love Frontline mirrors because it's so easy to throw away, like, a huge advantage so quickly. Like, I think of it sort of in terms of chess, if you're familiar with chess, where, like, it's just so easy to make a blunder, and suddenly you go from, like, a completely winning position, to a fire, like, to basically an equal position, which is basically what we're in now. Getting Devils to the front line would be nice, but I have no way of buffing it, so it kind of just gets farmed. I could 164th Sherman. Kind of more interested in getting the Skytrain down. Maybe the Skytrain's a bait. So like 5. I think by trading, I make it more likely that he removes Skytrain. But I make it less likely that he removes Skytrain while completely blowing me out of the game. Like, you know, if he trades and pushes Hellcat, I can live with that. Or like he does 35T trade and kills it with Sherman. Rangers means he's not killing it. Gets Rangers to the front line. Has a Duress. I was gonna say another Duress, but I guess it was the last front line who had the Duress. They all just sort of melt together at a certain point. I can kill it with Devil's Brigade. I can kill it with Hellcat. Hellcat's probably the less useful one. And the Skytrain's not really, like, something worth protecting at this point, but we're still just going to push into the front line. Mostly because it's just sort of difficult for him to remove this. Like, he could actually, with Devil's Brigades in front line now, like, he could remove this slightly more easily, but the 164ths do mean that I'm getting some value. And do we just... So we're Sherman in for sure. But what order do we do this in? Cause I can 99th the Skytrain and kill the Panzer Grenadier. Could also get good draws off this. Pathfinders is not bad. It's a little hard to use in this situation. Am I fine with it buffing 99th? Probably. Although maybe I should just take the front line. It's a 4-8. It could get suppressed very easily. So let's just get the value trade. It shouldn't be possible to die to Blitzkrieg here, but you never know. Like 164, 35T, 35T, Blitzkrieg combined arms is 12 damage. So yeah, I should not be able to die. 99's good for him. Lets him get an easy trigger on the 35T. Goes face and drops a full cost naval bombardment on the Skytrain. And this is what I loved about this play, is it means that I can just replay Skytrain unsuppressed now. Now, yeah, I, of course, could drop Pathfinders onto this. I'm going to go for Devil's Brigade. Now, do I get the Skytrain back down? I feel like this is a very important make or break situation in this game. I don't see how I immediately lose from going for a play like this. He could have 2nd Panzer Grenadiers. 35T, he trades out the front line. Keeps 2 units alive. There's the 2nd Panzer Grenadiers. But even then, I just Pathfinders the buffed 35T. The Panzer Grenadiers is not in the front line. I can draw with Sherman. So, like, even worst case scenario, I still feel like I'm still fine. Left the US unit alive. So, Sherman first. And we're just going to push. And we're going to try... I don't care if he kills Pathfinders. I'd actually kind of prefer if he kills Pathfinders. He could try to set it up so that Pathfinders retreats Panzer Grenadiers, but he will die to Blitzkrieg before being able to reap too much value out of that. Okay, I'm 10 on 164th, but I don't need a 164th with a destruction effect. I need it for the body, for Hellcat. Does trade out Pathfinders. 164th. Sherman trade, and it's 2, 4, 2, 4, 7, 8, a lot of damage. And that's GG. I guess I didn't play around air defense right there. That was a mistake. I should have attacked with Sherman first. But, good game. Hopefully that's not +4. That is not. That's a +8. Look at that. Got 2 whole games in one. So, I think that will be it for this video. We ended... we're still 9 points down where we started today. But that's going to be it for this video. I'm probably going to immediately record a second video, but that will be uploaded like a day later or so. But thank you very much for watching. If you got to the end, subscribe if you haven't already. Join my Discord to continue the conversation there, and I will catch you in the next one.